What's up, guys? Fringy123 here, and I decided to jump onto some Battlefield today because I've had a fucking awful week. I've been getting like 3 hours of sleep, not having so much work to do, but it's finally Friday and it's time to jump on and play some video games. And so I jumped into Battlefield, playing Conquest on Gulf of Oman, and it got me thinking about what truly makes an offensive player. What player is, like, you could say, quote-unquote, either a rusher, an attacker, offensive? What makes that player an offensive player? And better yet, how can you play offensively the most efficient way? How can you be the most efficient offensive player? And people who know me would always say that I'm very impatient when I'm playing games. I just want to get in and blow shit up, kill people, but that generally comes with a sacrifice in terms of your deaths. Playing as the offensive person is pretty much playing the guy that is going to die the most, the absolute most. But then there's also the positive that the person who's attacking, if they're good, will tend to get the most kills possible out of all of the different play styles. And that's probably the reason why I always like to play offensive. I like big explosions, high action happening all around me, helping the team by attacking the objectives, because that's how you win games, capturing those objectives, especially in a Battlefield where that's the name of the game, attacking objectives. So I just came up with pretty much what I think are the main traits that you need to be an offensive player. I'll rattle those off first. You gotta really like getting in the enemy's faces. Being an offensive person generally means you're gonna be around lots of enemies. And that means that you need to really be able to keep a level head when shit is happening all around you. You've got people all around you who are just coming to kill you. And it puts you in a very precarious position because usually you're very exposed. Like in this situation I'm in now, I'm at E, enemies are capping it, there's enemies all over the place, and I've got to be careful about where I shoot, who I shoot, and when I time my reloads. So you need to be one of those people who's really impatient, but at the same time they can keep a level head when it comes to throwing down med packs to revive your health, getting your ammo back, and knowing what routes to take to flank the enemies, because the main thing you'll need to do when you're rushing is flank. Usually when you're rushing, you'll be encountering multiple enemies, and as we all know, one person running head-on is bad enough. But as long as you can aim well, that's not really a problem. But when you've got multiple enemies, like this situation I'm in here, it can get really difficult to know exactly what you need to be careful about what you're going to do. You need to quickly but thoroughly scope out the area for the enemies that are around so that you have a good idea of where you need to go. But you also need to be ready for situations with full ammo, full health, as much as you can. Unless this is assuming you're playing the assault class, which is very catered for attacking. While it's in a fast-paced situation, you need to carefully think out what strategy you're going to take in terms of flanking, and you know, those sorts of things are really important to essentially keeping you alive. And you need to also pay attention to sound. Assuming that you're using a pair of headphones, you really have to pay attention to sound that's coming from around you, because there are so many times where you think you've cleared something out, but as you know, someone could spawn in on you. And if you're paying attention and listening to the sounds, that's how you're going to end up getting the kills. Another thing that you need to work on as a rushing player is that you need to know when to cap objectives. Like, what is the best time to cap an objective? Generally, if you're rushing, you don't want to go in alone. When you're rushing, even though there are lots of situations where you may find it easy enough to run in just on your own to cap objectives, you need to depend on your team, and it's going to be a lot easier if you've got a tank nearby taking the heat off of you while you can go in and push the objectives, which also points out another important thing to remember. You need to know, sometimes using a vehicle can be optimal in ways more than just killing. You'll finding using tanks, but making sure that you're being careful when you use tanks, because tanks can often get bogged and then get taken out from all places. But using vehicles to get to the objectives can be useful. You just need to remember to have someone with you so you don't just ditch a vehicle, giving the enemy team a chance of being able to hijack that vehicle and use it against your team. The next really important thing that you need to be able to do is be well adjusted to close quarter scenarios. If you're rushing, you're going to be getting up close and personal with the enemies, and because of that, you need to be well prepared for a lot of close quarter engagements. You need to be become better adjusted at hip firing, and I don't mean spraying. You need to be able to hip fire well, even with assault rifles like I'm using. You need to be able to hip fire, because depending on what scope you use, it's probably a lot better depending on what sort of offensive player you want to be, depending on whether you actually do want to be a long-range person or, like most people, be close quarters. You need to adjust what scope you're using for that for those scenarios. While I'm playing Gulf of Oman, most of the action is happening in sort of the city area, so it's more close quarters, which may seem weird why I am using the ACOG scope, but for me it just works much better than using the red dot sight for a weapon like this. So you need to be good at getting into close quarter scenarios, and that means that you really, especially in a scenario like that, need to know exactly when you're going to throw down your reloads, because there are certain situations where a pistol isn't going to cut it. You need an assault rifle, or an SMG. You need something that's going to be really proficient. And that's pretty much it for some of my basic tips on how to be a good rushing player. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel to check out the rest of my content. See you guys later.